This morning, an ROV, or remote operated vehicle, from the vessel Horizon Arctic discovered the tail cone of the Titan submersible approximately 1,600 feet from the bow of the Titanic on the seafloor. The ROV subsequently found additional debris. In consultation with experts from within the Unified Command, the debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber. Upon this determination, we immediately notified the families. On behalf of the United States Coast Guard and the entire Unified Command, I offer my deepest condolences to the families. I can only imagine what this has been like for them, and I hope that this discovery provides some solace during this difficult time. Additionally, we've been in close contact with the British and French consuls general to ensure that they are fully apprised and that their concerns are being addressed. The outpouring of support in this highly complex search operation has been robust and immensely appreciated. We are grateful for the rapid mobilization of experts on the undersea search and rescue, and we thank all of the agencies and personnel for their role in the response. We're also incredibly grateful for the full spectrum of international assistance that's been provided. The ROVs will remain on scene and continue to gather information. Again, our most heartfelt condolences go out to the loved ones of the crew. We'll now take questions.
Can you talk about the delay in
This was a incredibly complex case, and we're still working to develop the details for the timeline involved with this casualty and the response. And so we'll provide that information.
What other debris have you found? And have you found any trace of what's working?
So this is an incredibly complex operating environment on the seafloor, over 2 miles beneath the surface. And so the remote operating vehicle has been searching, and it is highly capable. And we've been able to classify parts of the pressure chamber for the Titan submersible. Let me refer to one of my undersea experts here, Mr. Paul Hankin, to talk about the nature of some of the debris.
Thank you, Admiral. So essentially, we found 5 different major pieces of debris that told us that it was the remains of the Titan. The initial thing we found was the nose cone, which was outside of the pressure hull. We then found a large debris field. Within that large debris field, we found the front end bell of the pressure hull. That was the first indication that there was a catastrophic event. Shortly thereafter, we found a second smaller debris field. Within that debris field, we found
Hey, what up, everybody? This y'all Shorty Rachel. I hope all of y'all is having a blessed and humble day. I hope all of y'all continue to have a blessed and humble day. Hey, let's talk about it, right? I was trying to edit my little thing right here. It's supposed to be an open panel, but it won't let me edit, so I'm not sure what's going on. I'm about to share the screen again. Hey, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the latest topic, the submarine, the Titanic, and much more, right? So we all know that 5 millionaires paid to get on a submarine to, look at the wreckage of the Titanic. Why and who and why in their right minds would do this? My condolences go out to their families. But these people sat here and they knew what they was getting into. And the reason I say that is because they signed a waiver when they got into, what errors? Let me see. Oh, I see what's going on. They wouldn't let me put the live for kids. My live is not for kids. Let me see. So, guys, the links to each and every one of these videos are down here. That's all I'm going to play for that news clip right there. Let me do this real quick. Make sure y'all share, guys. Help a shorty out. Let's make it to my channel real quick. Should have saved the changes. I'm not sure if it did. Let's find out. All right. Let me see. And flies. Wait 1 second. Blessings, young Rios. Blessings. All right. So I just set the reminder. I mean, not the reminder. I just set I just shared the We Live. Hopefully people, they hit the link. All right, let's get back on topic, right? I'm about to show y'all a clip from Papa Duck, right? And I'm gonna show y'all a little video called the Titanic Secret of the Jekyll. All right, so this video is gonna kind of explain the the history of the Titanic, the people that was in the Titanic, some of the people that was in the Titanic, and much more. But I want to also give a big shout out to Papa Duck, right? Because he explains a little bit of this video. So let's get to it real quick. The reason I want to show y'all Papa Duck's video is because, to me, in my opinion, I feel as though that Papa Duck right here, they're not on my regular stream, y'all. Snap. Oh, let's continue. Damn, I'm not on my regular stream here, so I can't even play the disclaimer. Hey, screw it, buddy. Everybody, make sure y'all subbed up. Make sure y'all share the video. Hit that like button. Help a shorty get into the algorithm. And let's get to the video. But like I was telling y'all, Papa Duck, he has a real. I got to piggyback off Papa Duck. Papa Duck, shout out. Listen, I hope you don't, give me a strike or a copyright. But let's do it.
Man, what I'm about to tell y'all, man, it's going to come to a shock. All this submarine sinking. You're talking about a submarine that sunk to go see a boat that sunk by design. Yes, the Titanic was supposed to sink. And I'm going to break this all down to you because they put a lot of emphasis on this submarine story, bro. I say be careful of it's something it's some trickery going on. But listen, if you get the book called The Creatures of Jekyll Island, Jekyll Island is in Georgia. In 1910, all the rich families got the J.P. Morgans, the Rockefellers, all got together and created the Federal Reserve. See, the Federal Reserve ain't federal. It's ran by families. Like, this gonna blow your mind. Like I say, do your own research. It was a guy by the name of John Jacob Astor VI, right? Apparently, he was there to help create the Federal Reserve, but apparently he did not agree with how they was trying to create it and what they do. They get rid of you. They put him on the boat. They put him on the boat. Certain people got off that boat right before it was supposed to go out, because they knew it was finna sink. The crazy part about it,
I want y'all to pay close attention to what Papa Duck is saying, right? Because the video that I'm going to show y'all in a minute, after, Papa Duck is done talking, is going to show y'all in details, and it's somebody else, speaking on this video, what Papa Duck is talking about.
They sunk the boat and made millions in the fucking process. See, this is the type of people you're dealing with. When I say the devil, these are the people that you are dealing with. They sunk the boat. Lives got lost because of their personal agendas, right? And made millions in the process. That's why I say, anyway, at the end of the day, you do your own research on this story on Jekyll Island. And the crazy part is they created the Federal Reserve. If you really go deep into the story on Jekyll Island, it was created on some like spiritual shit, the voodoo type shit. Money is the root of all evil and all this type of stuff. The power that's behind it is real demonic and spiritual. Like, you got to really get into the story. This is where the Indians did certain sacrifices with babies and certain stuff. Like, they really created this whole monetary thing based off from a spiritual aspect. Like I say, go deep into it. Something like right now, you can go there to Jekyll Island. I think they do like tours, but there's certain places you can't go on that island. And this is the stuff they are not going to tell you in school. You feel me? So the Titanic, which they done sold us this whole story that, it sunk and blew the boo and made a fucking movie out of it.
And that's a fact. Papa Duck not lying on everything that he's saying right here. Listen, I may not agree to, everything that a lot of these content creators say and do, but one thing that I could say is when they're speaking facts, they're speaking facts. There's no, listen, they got the proof to back it up, right? And when you do your own research, you could tell that they're not lying. Listen, we just got to open that third eye.
So these are the people that we're all up against. So when I be trying to tell black folks, white folks, Indian, Spanish, Latino, I don't give a fuck. When I tell y'all, these are the enemies we are all up against. Get your head out your behind, get out your feelings, because we all have one common enemy. And the things that they're willing to do and how far they're willing to go to accomplish their agendas is far worse.
It's crazy because he's not lying. We're fighting the wrong war against each other. We're fighting the wrong battle. Let's put it like that. We're fighting each other when in reality, listen, we're not even prepared if war came. If war came, we'll all fucking, I swear to God, we wouldn't know what to do. We'll all die like flies. I swear to God. You want to know why? Because we're too busy killing each other. Too busy killing each other.
Surpass you can't fathom the shit that they would do and have done and going to do to accomplish their agendas. Okay, we talking Google. Google ain't just Google. If you look up the word Google, it really means an infinite number. And it's spelled Googol. See that? You see why I say you have to pay attention to all this stuff. They put it in hindsight, right in front of us. So look up the word Google, Goo.
Yo, Papa Duck, I agree with you 100%. The problem is that a lot of these people out here get too lazy and they don't want to do their research. And then they want to talk shit about the people that have done their research and bring them down and do all this shit. And then when shit hit the fan, what's funny is, right, they'll all start saying, yo, man, he was right. I'm mad I didn't listen. Like, you should have been woke the fuck up. For those that are asleep, stay the fuck in bed, y'all. I really don't understand people. And I'm human too. Shit.
Gol, and it means an infinite amount of number to the 10th power. Though none of these people do benefit us. The sooner you understand that, the better you will become in this world, the better you can navigate through this world. Because for some reason, people really still wake up to this day thinking they supposed to hit the alarm clock, jump up, brush their teeth, brush your teeth. They the one put motherfucking some fluoride in the toothpaste. What the fluoride do to your mouth and your pineal gland? And it's connected to your sink.
And if y'all Google that too, y'all will find out that he's not lying. The stuff that's in our toothpaste is crazy, right? Every morning we wake up without realizing that we're ingesting just a little bit of poison in our body. Every morning and every night we go to bed.
Everything they market, they lie about. Marketing is nothing but high-end lying. That's all they do. They make shit look way better than it is. So by the time you make it to the store to purchase it, it ain't got none of you already sold. And it's just like the video I did earlier today. Like I tell y'all, neuroscientists make more money with marketing agencies because they know how to trick your damn brain. I know I'm a little off topic, but you know how that go. But anyway, man, these are the people that we're up against. Okay? And I want y'all to understand, man, we only got one life to live, and these people done tricked us out that bitch. Don't let them continue to trick us, a lot of us. Understand why TVs was created. Understand why influencers are created. Understand why the music business is the music business. It has nothing to do with making music to soothe the soul like it's supposed to from a spiritual level. No, it's there to create demonic patterns through music, through design. It's there to send our children to prison because you literally signing kids to rap about killing kids, and y'all talking about the crime rate. Do you know what that shit do to your brain, man? As an undeveloped child, 16 years old, listening to all this, shoot 'em up, killer, bang, bang. What you think it's gonna do? What you think they gonna do? Go out and fix a sandwich? Oh, I say, man, until we become conscious of really what's going on, we're gonna continue to lose this battle, homie. I keep telling y'all, and I'm gonna say it time after time after time, because they've been duping you for the last 20, 30 years. You only watch my video 10, 15 minutes, so I had to keep repeating certain things a lot of times so you can get it. Just because you don't see bombs and fucking tanks and people running with hats on, don't think you are not at war. You're always at war. From the time you go to sleep to the time you wake up. You're at war for the shit you eat. You're at war for the things you know and don't know. You're at war for your children. You're at war for your mind. You're at war at all times. And no one questions what the hell, why are we even here? No one questions nothing in the most important things, like this tree. That tree is more valuable than $1 million. We value shit that don't have no value. Everything is backwards. Backwards. Everything is backwards. Okay? We don't value the air we breathe. We don't value being able to walk in just free nature. But what we need to value is we got free will to come and get in between these people's agenda and go to war for real. Because it got to be a war. They're not going to stop what they're doing. They're not going to just jump off the throne and hand it to you. We're going to have to fight the motherfuckers. I'm talking about in a way where a lot of y'all going to be scared. But shit, what's the purpose of living here under somebody else's regime? I'd rather go ahead and bitch earn my death. And that's why I do what I do. So would y'all listen to my videos, liking them, comment and sharing and all that good stuff, man. Thank y'all so much. Please continue to do that because I need y'all help to spread this message like I tell y'all all the time. In order for you to be found, man, you must first be lost.
Yo, what pleasure. I'm going to always share Papa Doug's message, yo. Papa Doug is somebody that I could say that has a positive message out here. He's for the youth. You know, he's out here exposing a lot of things like a lot of other people out here. So shout out to Papa Doug. You know, because at the end of the day, I did a little more, deeper research listening to him. And I came across, let me see, it's called, and he speaks on it on this video. If y'all really paid attention to Papa Doug, he speaks on it. I went and did my research. This article is done by, well, not actually an article. This video is done by Robert Safer. I hope I said his name right. But he speaks on the Titanic, the secret of Jekyll Island. So basically on this video right here that I'm about to show y'all, blessings, Uncle L, blessings, it kind of explains a little bit about, the Titanic and much more. Listen, in certain situations, in certain situations, I could sit here and say that a lot of us overthink, or how can I say, go to the extreme when it comes to talking about our history and stuff like that. We don't really do our proper history. Like, I think a lot of people is just going by the movie when it comes to the Titanic and much more. Like I was saying when I first started this live, I don't know what made these 5 millionaires, get into the submarine and go all the way that deep, knowing what had happened. Listen, some people are just plain out that stupid, that dumb. Like, my condolences go out to the family. But once again, these people knew what they was doing when they got into this situation. They signed a waiver. And to me, I'm not sure, maybe, but in my own opinion, I think this is one way or a form of a distraction. Once I show y'all a little bit of this video that I'm about to show y'all, I'm going to go on Google and I'm going to show y'all, major incidents that happened in the year 1912. That was the year when the Titanic sunk. And a lot of things happened. So let's get right into this little, documentary that they got right here when it comes to the Titanic. Like I said, it's called The Secret of Jekyll Island. And it involves the Titanic. It involves, the Federal Reserve. And it would explain a little bit about the Federal Reserve too. So I'm not going to show this whole video because, like I said, I'm not trying to be on this live forever. So it is an open panel. If anybody wishes to hop on, give their perspective, they're more than welcome. Just let me know. But let's hop on to the video real quick. And by the way, the links are in the description box for anybody that wants to finish watching the videos or start the video from beginning to end. Whatever they wish to do with the video, the links are in the description box. So I'm hoping that y'all can see this, guys. Let me mute me, play a little bit of this video, talk. I do have to mute it so they don't copy strike me. This is not my original StreamYard. I do not even know why I started. Listen, the first time I got on, I logged into the regular page. I wasn't supposed to, but I did.
True story behind the sinking of the Titanic on its maiden voyage, I'd like to open with a tribute to a truth seeker who also tackled this subject before the modern internet age, and whose research impacted me on my own path when I first started peeking behind the veil, even if I don't share all of his same conclusions in my current perspective. Eustace Mullins passed away in 2010 and is still defamed for his politically controversial views, which have often been labeled as conspiracy theories, but seem to have been prophetic in hindsight. Mullins wrote about an elite class of globalist bankers that he claimed were behind many of the wars and depressions that adversely affect all people of all races worldwide. He wrote about the Federal Reserve, which came about in 1913, but tied it to earlier central banking systems, which he traces all the way back to biblical times. While I did not read all of his books and am not familiar with all of his theories, he has left behind numerous videos from conferences where he spoke out against what he believed to be corruption in finance, big pharma, academia, and the global media. Eustace claimed that several high-profile bankers had conspired to write the Federal Reserve Act for their own nefarious purposes and then induce Congress to enact it into law. That said, I appreciate his contribution in bringing attention to secret meetings held on Jekyll Island which took place in the early 20th century, shortly before the sinking of the Titanic and the subsequent formation of the Federal Reserve. century being central to today's episode. Jekyll Island is located off the coast of the U.S. state of Georgia and is currently run by a self-sustaining, self-governing body. While it is owned by the state of Georgia since 1947, before that, much of its land was privately owned, beginning in the colonial era, with secretive events that took place on the island during the early 20th century being central to today's episode. At the end of November 1910, some of the most influential men in America gathered on Jekyll Island for a secret meeting.
I want y'all to peep how he did say secret events, which means events that occurred, that happened in here, that us, the people around the world, don't know about. So pay close attention. For those of y'all that are wondering what's going on, listen, I don't know why in their right minds anybody would try to do this. Like, we don't really know how deep that water goes and where it is. Like, listen, let me ask this one question, right? Let me ask you a question. What if somebody does manage to, reach the bottom of that water, right? Nobody knows what's actually at the bottom of the water. Like, when you finally reach the end, I don't think anybody has ever reached the end. They say there's dark holes down there. There's theories going around that there could be portals and much more. Listen, I believe the portal part. Like, I wasn't playing and joking around when I've been on different chats and stuff saying that, listen, that might be these heifers might end up in the past or in the future on some real shit. Like, right now, it feels like we're on an episode of, Spider-Man or something like that. Like, we're in an episode of Marvel and we're time traveling or something. The worlds are shifting. And listen, believe what you want. And like I said, those that are the fuck sleep can stay the fuck in bed. Because this shit is crazy. Like, the ocean is really a mystery, at least in the sky and shit like that. You can actually, with the satellites and stuff like that. And even though some of those have disappeared throughout time and crashed back down, but underneath the water, have they really reached the bottom? Have they managed to see what's all the way at the bottom? Like, could they see what's past them dark holes and dark spaces and much more? Can they really see? Like, come on. We all know the ocean. We all know the water is a mystery. Why they did this? Like, come on, we gotta start using common sense. I think some people just don't. Some people just want to go with what they call conspiracy theories and myths and stuff like that. You know what I think myths are? Things that cannot be proven. But these things can be proven. This can be proven. There's paperwork on it. There's history on it. Like, people actually witnessed. It's like, before I keep playing, it's like, I don't know if y'all remember years back that plane that disappeared and then out of nowhere it appeared back. What happened to that plane? Where did it go? In the sky. Like, what happened? They even made a movie. They made a show about it. But if you go by the movie and the show, you'd be confused. You would have to sit here and do deeper research to kind of figure out what happened. It's crazy how a lot of those people sat here, right? They got interviewed, documentaries happened, and they try to get rid of a lot of that. But people people still kept exposing. So a lot of people was like, damn. And then more people kept doing their research and talking about it. So kind of like the truth is out there, but it's still a mystery. The same thing is with the Titanic and much more. It's just that people, y'all want to really go by the movies instead of doing your research. You know what's crazy? What's the problem here in the United States? The problem is we go by this goddamn main media that lies to us. That's why I think in London, it is, and in other places out there, right? It's crazy how they know what the hell's going to happen to us before it happens to us because, they don't get lied to. Like, everything is exposed out there. But us, we get lied. Everything gets censored, gets blocked, like, hidden until we start doing our own research. Key word, start doing our own research. Like I said, man, those of you that want to stay the fuck asleep, stay the fuck in bed. Let's keep watching the video.
Their names were Senator Nelson W. Aldrich, who was the leader of the Republican Party, Adam P. Andrew, who was Assistant Secretary of the U.S. Treasury Department, Frank Arthur Vandercliff, who was President of the National City Bank of New York, Henry P. Davison, who was also a prominent banker, Benjamin Strong, who was another important banker, and Paul Walber, who, you guessed it, was another influential banker. The purpose of the secret meeting was to plan the country's monetary policy and establish a central banking system, which resulted in the draft legislation for what eventually became the creation of the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. Of course, there's a gap there from when the meeting took place in 1910.
Yo, but Pete, how the Titanic sank in 1912 and in 1913, all this with the Federal Reserve and the banks and all that was accomplished. Were there sacrifices? Could there be truth? Could there be some truth to that? Let's keep listening. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know.
And the establishment of the Federal Reserve in 1913, which I'll get into. But first, allow me to briefly define what the Federal Reserve is. Although it has the word federal in it, which by definition implies it has something to do with the central government, in reality, it is the name of a group of private banks owned by private citizens such as the Rothschild banking family that prints currency, then loans this paper currency to the United States on interest. So rather than the US government printing its own currency backed by gold or silver, as stated in the US Constitution, this legislation made it so instead, the US borrows paper printed by a group of private bankers that collect interest on every dollar printed, backed by nothing. This ability to print and loan money on interest is what financed both world wars, drowning the nation in debt, and why $1 in 1913 is equal to $25 today.
Is y'all paying attention? Is y'all listening? Because this right here is teaching us a little bit about, that dollar bill that everybody's killing each other for.
So in effect, we're financing our trade with China, trade with Japan by our Federal Reserve currency, which is neither federal. It's not federal any more than the Federal Express Company is a federal company. And it has no reserves because it doesn't need any reserves because it prints its own currency. If you could print your own money, what do you need of reserves? You just go and warm up the printing press and turn out another $10 billion. So, and finally, it's not a system. It's called the Federal Reserve System. It's not federal. It has no reserves. And it's not a system, but I'm the only person in the world who's ever defined it in my works as a criminal syndicate. And that's what it is. It's a criminal syndicate, just like the mafia, which is...
Did y'all hear that? All right, let's listen.
One of its subsidiaries, and the CIA and all the criminal syndicates work out of the Federal Reserve System, because that's what a Federal Reserve System is. A central bank is a group of bankers which have total control of a nation's economy. And they print their own money, print as much as they want to, and it eventually becomes worthless. And I defined in my work that a central bank's principal...
So in my opinion, he's basically saying that the U.S. money that we're using right now is worthless, is useless.
Role is for war finance, because war finance is the most profitable enterprise you can get into. And so if you're a banker, you're looking for the best investment you can make, which is a war.
Most intelligent people might think that this system is not only unconstitutional, but is unwise, resembling a Ponzi scheme, and designed to make a small group of bankers extremely wealthy at the expense of the working middle class, which gets stuck with inflation and debt. You might also...
And that's what it is. Like, yo, we don't get tired of saying this time after time, but people don't want to listen. The best place to save your money is in your house in a safe But shit, it's crazy with everything that's going on. You imagine just getting robbed, like shit, and all your savings and everything gone. So yeah, the Federal Bank, the Federal Reserve seems like its best bet, but damn, they also taken from you too. What the fuck?
I also think that surely there must be some sort of opposition to this financial corruption. What about them? This brings us back to those critical years between the secret Jekyll Island meeting of 1910 and 1913, when the Federal Reserve Act was passed into law. To understand what happened to the opposition to the central bankers, we need to take a look at a man named J.P. Morgan, an American financier and banker who dominated corporate finance on Wall Street during the late 1800s, when he was a driving force behind the wave of industrial consolidation in the United States, spearheading the formation of several prominent multinational corporations, including U.S. Steel Corporation
Listen
and
up.
General Electric, with controlling interests in AT&T, Western Union, and 24 railroads. J.P. Morgan funded and built the Titanic, as well as its sister ship called the Olympia.
Now, y'all heard what Papa Duck said on the previous video. If y'all didn't hear him, if y'all just tuning in, if y'all catching the replay, go, rewind it back a little bit, go to where Papa Duck was speaking, and y'all will hear him explain and break this live down to, a little short dialogue where we could understand a little better. Like, he spoke it hood for us. And if y'all can't understand Papa Duck, listen, we're giving it to you right here, this way. Like, yo, it couldn't. Papa Duck couldn't have broken this video down or the history of it any better than what he has done throughout all his videos.
While there's much written on theories involving an insurance scam, where the damaged twin ship Olympia was really the ship that sank in an effort to collect insurance money on an already partially damaged vessel. I won't be addressing that conspiracy theory at
Let's go back. Even though they say it's a conspiracy theory, I want y'all to really listen to what he just said, right?
4 railroads. J.P. Morgan funded and built the Titanic,
Listen.
as well as its sister ship called the Olympia. While there's much written on theories involving an insurance scam, where the damaged twin ship Olympia was really the ship that sank in an effort to collect insurance money on an already partially damaged vessel. I won't
On an effort to collect money, but supposedly, allegedly, is a conspiracy theory.
be addressing that conspiracy.
Guys, make sure y'all hit that like button, hit that share, help a shorty get into the algorithm. Make sure y'all subbed up and check out our Writers for Life, y'all shorty Rachel page. I'm going to be, I'm switching up everything. I'm going to be doing the reaction videos over here, and I'm going to be taking a little more personal over there. That's going to be more, where we just talk and let it out. Over here, shorty's going to get this channel monetized. I'm going to take my time. I ain't rushing into that either. Like, if y'all like the content, help a shorty out. Make sure y'all share the videos and make sure y'all sub up. So we're going to make sure we bring the podcast once a month, and we're going to do these reaction videos every weekend. So I'm going to try to be consistent with the reaction videos. And like I said, the podcast is going to be scheduled once a month. I'm going to try to make it twice a month, but I know that I could be consistent with the once a month. So, let's continue this. Make sure y'all subbed up, like I said. And I want to thank everybody that has been rocking out with a shorty since the beginning of the year and, helping her out. Like, we've been networking, we've been building, and, shorty loves it because that's what she's here for. Let's network, let's build, let's motivate the youth. Let's do what we got to do to make a change and make a difference.
Theory at this time, but there are several interesting videos by others available online for those interested. Instead, I'd like to focus on the fact that J.P. Morgan was booked on the maiden voyage but canceled the day before. The same fortunate outcome cannot be said for the most wealthy and influential opponent.
He's talking about the man that built both them Titanic, the Olympic and the Titanic, both twin ships, right? But the damaged one, the one that was messed up, is the one that everybody got on board, is the one that got wrecked. Don't it seem kind of weird? He's something funny in this situation. Why not bring out the good ship? But they saying that there's supposedly supposed to have been a scam. The man that built this ship was supposed to have gone the first day that the ship went out, right? But the day prior to this, it got canceled so that he wouldn't get on board. But his ops and everybody else did.
Opponents to the creation of the Federal Reserve Act, American millionaires who did not owe their fortunes to banking, such as Jacob Astor, one of the richest people in the world at the time, whose wealth in today's money was the equivalent of $2.25 billion, whose fortune was built in real estate, inheritance from fur trading, and as an inventor, incidentally a friend of Nikola Tesla, and he was a lieutenant colonel in the Spanish-American War.
You heard? Friend of Nikola Tesla. Y'all know who that is, right? You know who ended up stealing his, scripts and all his paperwork when it came to the Tesla and all that. And we're not talking about the cars. We're talking about the actual technology. I think it was Donald Trump's uncle or his grandfather, something like that. Just look it up. Go do y'all. A lot of things go hand in hand. Y'all don't peep this.
Another opponent to the Federal Reserve Act on board was Benjamin Guggenheim, son of a wealthy miner, who again was not a banker, and either was Isidor Straus, owner of Macy's department store, who, like the other successful non-banker businessman I just named, seemed too unlucky or too unable to seem to make it aboard a life raft, and instead died going down with the ship. It's interesting to note that there were no red flares on board to signal any boats for rescue. Only white flares that signal a party or that everything
Ain't that interesting? Keep listening. Ain't this interesting?
is okay. Yet these wealthy and politically influential men opposed to the Federal Reserve were invited aboard the Titanic for its maiden voyage, the same trip that J.P. Morgan conveniently decided to back out from at the last minute, with no Rockefellers and no Rothschilds on board. All major opposition perishing aboard the ship in 1912.
Ain't it interesting? And it's crazy how, the Rockefellers are still in existence to this day.
With the Federal Reserve Act established the following year, during the
What I want y'all to peep is all the people that canceled the trip the day prior. Were these people sacrificed? Like the millionaires that went into that submarine? They knew what was going to happen if these people went all the way down there. We all know what happens. We know about the pressure of the water, especially with an island full, a place that's surrounded with, I could imagine, y'all do your own research. Don't go by what a shorty's saying. Do your own research.
holiday season passed through Congress when most were not even present.
Paul Warburg himself, who was the author of the act, and the other bankers
Signal a party or that everything's okay.
I have to rewind it so y'all could listen to this real carefully, guys. Just listen real carefully. There was no red flares. But in the Titanic, they made it seem like there were red flares. And it's crazy how that one lady was the one that survived, ain't it?
Ship. It's interesting to note that there were no red flares on board to signal any boats for rescue. Only white flares that signal a party or that everything's okay. Yet these wealthy and politically influential men opposed to the Federal Reserve were invited aboard the Titanic for its maiden voyage, the same trip that J.P. Morgan conveniently.
Basically, young Riaz, breaking it down for you to understand, you're not off point, but let me get on here real quick. Right? The whole point of showing this is to show y'all that the Titanic, it was sabotaged. Some way, somehow, they knew that this ship was messed up. It wasn't ready for people to go on board. But they still brung the wrong ship. They still brung in the messed up ship, knowing the consequences. They knew that people was going to die. I don't know if you understand where I'm coming from. Like, the whole point was that they kill these people intentionally. You see my point? Like it seems more like an intentional death. Like they meant to kill these people. Like they knew they was going to kill these people. I'm trying to break it down so that you can kind of understand. So that's why I'm saying it's kind of like, yo, were these people sacrificed and why? Why would they sacrifice them? But see, it kind of makes sense. And when you put two and two together, and when I'm done a little bit of this, because I'm gonna do a part two. I'm gonna do a part two tonight. I'm gonna be on some late night stuff. So showing the rest of this video. I'm not gonna show this whole video, but I am gonna do a part two to this. I'm gonna finish the video off, listening to it and speak on it. And if people want to hop on, they can. But I'm gonna show a little bit more of this. I want y'all to really pay attention. For everybody that catches this replay, listen to what he's saying right here. If they would have bought the original Titanic, like there was twin ships, one was messed up, one wasn't. They decided to bring out the one that was messed up and let people on board, knowing that it was going to either sink or, you know, something bad was going to happen. Regardless of anything, they knew it, but they didn't tell the people on board. So it seems like it was a setup. They set up the people they got on board to kill them. That's what it seems like, allegedly. So I want y'all to really pay attention and listen to what he's saying right here.
He decided to back out from at the last minute with no Rockefellers and no Rothschilds on board. All major opposition perishing aboard the ship in 1912, with the Federal Reserve Act established the following year during the holiday season, passed through Congress when most were not even present.
Paul Warburg himself, who was the author of the act, and the other bankers had to, for the first time in their life, come down to Washington and lobby in the halls of Congress to get the Federal Reserve Act passed. And of course, they had to make a lot of promises, a lot of commitments, a lot of bribes. But since they printed the money, it didn't matter. So they bribed the Congress to enact the Federal Reserve Act, which was signed, but they still could not get a majority vote. So they had to wait till the Christmas vacation after Lindbergh and the Middle Western and Western congressmen had departed for Christmas vacation. Then they brought the Federal Reserve Act before Congress on December 23rd, after the opposition had left. But they still had a quorum, they still could pass it. And so even the New York Times said, never has legislation of such importance been passed under such circumstances. In other words, the whole Federal Reserve Act was passed through fraud, was passed more or less while Congress was in Christmas vacation. And so Wilson signed the act into law on December 23rd, practically Christmas Eve, and it became public law. So now that they had a central bank with the power to print all the money they wanted, a privately owned bank, and the Federal Reserve Act itself is an amazing act. It's an act of total monopoly because
So, in my opinion, basically the Titanic, well, the whole setup was to get the people that wasn't letting them get what they wanted out the way. Basically, that's what it was. It was a setup, getting the people out the way that was not letting them get what they wanted and needed. So eliminate your enemy and you get what you want. Basically, allegedly, that's what they're saying.
every word in it, first of all the money that the bankers can print becomes an obligation of the U.S. government, which means the U.S. taxpayer. Second, the stockholders of this private bank included in the legislation that no Federal Reserve Bank stock could ever be bought or sold on any exchange in the world. So in other words, the initial purchasers would own it in perpetuity, which is what happened because the Rothschilds, Warburgs, and Schiffs all bought the original stock in 1914 and have owned it ever since. And they've put it into foundations, so it can never be touched. And these foundations are the real government of the United States, Rockefeller Foundation. Nearly all of your major legislation in the United States is prepared by these foundations. And they submit it to Congress, and of course they have enormous staffs and billions of dollars. So they bring the legislation before Congress, and it's impeccable. It's researched and it's phrased and everything is done just right. And so, of course, the Congress accepts it. And they look around, they say, is anybody objected to any of this? And of course, there's total silence. Nobody objects. So it becomes law.
I bet nobody would object. Shit. They eliminated the goddamn enemy. Shit. Like, fuck. Like, yo, everybody that was supposed to be on that ship got out the day prior. Yo, it's just crazy, right? But all the enemies was left in the ship. Like, yeah, it makes sense now. Like the whole, like everything about the wreck, everything that happened that day, it makes a whole lot of sense. But see, everybody wants to go by the movie. Y'all can go by the movie, but y'all seem to forget, right, that a lot of these movies, they may speak a lot of facts, but they twist and turn to make it, you know, nonfiction, fictional, you know, whatever you want to call it. They change names, they do all this. Like, they made it seem like this romantic love story, when in reality, it was a setup. You eliminate the ops, you get what you want. Like, yo, pay attention. I'm sorry, I told y'all, this channel right here, we're going to be raw and uncut with it. We're going to really talk about it. Let's talk about it. Ain't no holding back like I do over there. Let's really talk about it. But I'm not talking by myself. So when we do have an open panel discussion, we could really talk about it. Oh, let's go back.
That's why you have laws constantly passed by Congress, which are actively opposed by 85% of. And these foundations are the real government of the United States, Rockefeller Foundation. Nearly all of your major legislation in the United States is prepared by these foundations. And they submit it to Congress. And of course, they have enormous staffs and billions of dollars. So they bring the legislation before Congress. And it's impeccable. It's researched and it's phrased and everything is done just right. And so, of course, the Congress accepts it. And they look around, they say, is anybody objected to any of this? And of course, there's total silence. Nobody objects. So it becomes law. That's why you have laws constantly passed by Congress, which are actively opposed by 85% of the American people. Almost everything that's done in Washington is opposed by 85% of the American people. So you have government by 15%, government by elites. And they're not even Americans. These are international elitists. They have no allegiance whatsoever to.
How he says elites. They're governed by elites who are not even Americans. What's going on, America? What's going on? What's going on? But like I've always said, this is America, land of the free, where you got to pay for water, even the air you breathe.
The United States, just like your Canadian legislatures, have no allegiance to you. They have no allegiance to Canada. They're part of the international elite. But of course, they don't say this publicly, and the press hails them all as great patriots and dedicated people, selfless individuals. They love that word selfless. Imagine all your legislators are selfless. They never have a selfish bone in their body because they're working for you. They want to give you things. And of course, the only purpose they have is to rob you. Not only you, but all 6 billion people in the world, because it's a government of robbery. So you have what you call the new economy in the United States, and probably Canada too. And the new economy is simply people working and creating and producing in spite of everything the robbers can do to them. Everything that's accomplished in this country is accomplished in spite of the foundations, in spite of the bankers. People have to work harder to pay the interest, but they do that. They rise to the challenge. At some point, the people will have to make themselves recognized. And they're doing this through the internet. The big question mark is the internet. And that's why Washington has been making frantic efforts to control the internet.
While Eustace is still slandered with derogatory labels, a Marxist tactic that has been effective since the Bolshevik Revolution in 1917, which I also covered in a prior video. Can anyone today deny that overt media censorship exists regardless of what one's own political ideology is. While the Federal Reserve Act was allegedly passed in an effort to establish economic stability and prosperity in the US by introducing a central bank to oversee monetary policy, one needs only look back at the history of the last century, including both world wars, which were financed by debt, and the subsequent inflation and financial consolidation of power, to see that the economic stability and prosperity was not intended for the general population, but for a small, secretive elite that does not owe its loyalty to any one nation, race, or religion, but to a globalist political agenda opposed to our freedom and committed to our servitude.
And that's a fact. So we're gonna finish this video on a part 2. I'm gonna end up doing that live tonight. Right now, let's go to Google real quick. Gonna leave this right here. What major tragic accidents occurred in 1912? Let's see. What tragic events happened in 1912? April 11th, RMS Titanic makes her last call at Queenstown in Ireland. April 14 to 15, sinking of the RMS Titanic. RMS Titanic strikes an iceberg in the northern Atlantic Ocean and sinks with the loss of more than 1,500 lives. The wreck will not be discovered until 1985. Damn. It's crazy how they didn't discover the wreck until 1985, right? What was the biggest tragedy in 1912? On April 15, 1912, after striking an iceberg, Titanic broke apart and sank to the bottom of the ocean, taking with the lives of more than 1,500 passengers and crew. Okay, let's keep going. Let's see what else happened. So y'all just want to talk about just the Titanic, huh? Let's see. Yep, that's all they talking about. On April 15, 1912, the RMS Titanic sunk. It's crazy, no, because it's more than that happened in 1912. But right now, Google, the RMS Titanic sunk in the North Atlantic Ocean, the largest and most luxurious ship in the world. The Titanic was also one of the most technologically advanced. Advanced. The ship had 16 watertight compartments designed to keep in afloat if damaged. This led to the belief that the ship was unsinkable. So we're not in April. Let's see. This happened in April. We're in June. So they should be telling me about tragedies that happened in June. Here we go. The first major battle. Okay, this happened October 10th, 1912 on the Thursday. The first major battle between Greece and the Ottoman Empire in the First Balkan War occurred at Sarantaporo, now part of Greece, with Greek forces capturing Serbia and Kazoni from the Ottomans. There was a war in October of 1912. We didn't even know about the war, see? We did know about the war, but we didn't put 2 and 2 together. Now, let's see what happened in November of 1912. Let me read. United States presidential election of 1912. American presidential election held on November 5th, 1912, in which Democrat Woodrow Woodrow Wilson defeated Bull Moose, progressive candidate and former Republican President Theodore Roosevelt, and Republican incumbent President William Howard Taft. So the presidential election was a month after the war. September of 1912. Japanese steamship. Cool. Whoa. Am I even sharing the screen? Nope, I'm not. Let's share the screen. I was supposed to share it, right? I'm tripping. Nope, because tonight I'll read the history about the Jekyll Island and much more. Here we go. Stream, y'all. Right there. So I'm hoping that y'all can see the screen. This is what I've been reading so far, as y'all can see, and I'm going in order. They first started off with everything, but see, they say it sunk in April, but they didn't mention nothing about it until years later. See, it sunk in April of 1912, and they didn't find out until 1985. Ain't that something? So on September 28, 1912, on a Saturday, the Japanese steamship Maru sank in a typhoon off Japan with over 1,000 dead, while casualties were second to the Titanic sinking in April. Damn, ain't that crazy? We don't really hear about this either. It was overshadowed as hundreds of other ships were lost during the storm. So the Titanic wasn't the only ship that sunk. So as we could see in Japan, right? Was it Japan? Yep, in Japan. The Japanese steamship Kishi Maru sank in a typhoon off Japan with over 1,000 dead, while casualties were second to the Titanic sinking in April. That's crazy. Just 500 less than the Titanic. But they didn't make that major news, huh? Did they ask how many dogs survived on the Titanic? They serious about that question? Let's see. They say who were the two killers in the Titanic? Let's see that real quick. Stoker William Mitram inhabited a suburban Dantine Inferno after the crime of killing his wife. He slaved in punishing heat to propel the souls aboard a White Star liner to a far-flung shore. A.B. George Francis McGull, on the other hand, shunted the decks, almost rubbing shoulders with the passengers. Damn, there were two killers on board, huh? See, I gotta look back. Did they mention that in the movie? I don't really remember the movie like that. But hey, let's see what happened on July 1912. A dynamite explosion in Rancagua, Chile, killed 38 people. A riot broke out during a strike among lumber mill workers in Grabau, Louisiana, resulting in 4 deaths, 50 injuries, and a total of 58 strikers arrested. Oh shit. They don't talk about that. That happened in July of 1912. What happened in June 1912? Lasting 3 days, the largest volcanic eruption of the 20th century exploded June 6, 1912, from a new volcano, Navarupta. In the process, it created Katmai Caldera and the Valley of 10,000 Smokes. That happened. You know how many volcanoes are erupting right now? And nobody's talking about that? Yo, that's crazy. What happened in January of 1912? We're going to do some more later on. So I'm going to just read January, and I'm going to read August, and I'll read I'll read the rest later on. All right, January of 1912, New Mexico was admitted as the 47th state of the United States at 1:35 p.m. after U.S. President William Howard Taft signed the proclamation. New Mexico had been passed up for statehood on 15 other occasions since becoming a territory in 1850. So a lot happened in 1912, right? So we know that, you know, one of the reasons why the Titanic sank was because, you know, allegedly they was trying to get rid of enemies. What's crazy when you do your history on Jekyll Island, you know, was known for a lot of slavery, you know, a lot of, you know, people that did slavery and stuff like that. And at one point, I think it was a time where they eliminated all black people. Something happened. I know we're gonna talk more about this. We're gonna talk more about this. We're gonna be a part 2 and a part 3 to this live. Part 2 is gonna be tonight. Let me read this. What happened on August 1912. And I'm gonna end this live and we'll do part 2 for tonight. I'm gonna schedule it. It's gonna happen like maybe around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock at night. And I mean AM. August 9th, 1912 on a Friday. An earthquake in Turkey near the Dardanelles killed 3,000 people. Damn, that was more than the Titanic. And injured another 1,575. There was a total destruction of towns of Sarkoy and Karlut, and 300 dead in Mofiet, formerly Myrofiton. I can't even pronounce that. And 80 in Ganos, Hora. So listen, guys. There were a lot of tragic accidents that happened in 1912. Condolences to everybody that died in the Titanic. But as time goes by, we all start learning the truth and we start doing our research. We could actually find out what happens and what has happened, you know, in history. If y'all don't do y'all research, y'all don't see that, you know, some way, somehow, you know, Abraham Lincoln, the Kennedys, Trump, all these people are kind of connected and kind of related. I suggest y'all do, I'm going to say allegedly on that, and I suggest that all of y'all do y'all research. I want to thank everybody that has watched me. For those of y'all that do, you know, watch the replay, let us sure, you know, what y'all think. You know, if y'all know any more information other than what I'm showing y'all, hey, y'all more than welcome to say it and put it down. Like I said, I'm going to do a part 2 tonight, and then I'm going to schedule, you know, a part 3 for next weekend maybe, or the weekend after that, or I might just do the reaction video to one of the other videos that I got already set up. So I want to, like I said, thank y'all all for rocking out with me.